Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for this special event that your company has sponsored to help you be more productive in your workplace and believe in yourself more. So, belief becomes you. What is your belief blueprint? Every one of us has a belief blueprint inside of us that we've created that we're not even aware of. Most of our beliefs are created in childhood based on our childlike immature brain. From birth to usually about 7 is when most of our beliefs are created. And these events, memories, situations, people are all stored in our subconscious brain. Here's how our brain works. As a child, we're trying to figure out how we fit in the world. What is safe? What is not safe? If we are in a situation, our brain is trying to figure it out. What does this mean about me? I'm here. How does this affect me? What does this mean about me? So we are mostly putting meanings on everything. And because we don't understand what something means, we put a label on it and we start believing that. So if we believe that something is not true, if we believe that something is true because we aren't able to sort through it and understand all the pieces to it, then we make an assumption about what this means to us and about us. And so many of these beliefs, because they were created with an immature, childlike brain, they're not true. But as we get older, we don't understand to go back and revisit these beliefs and look at them with an adult mind, with all our experience in the world now, and figure out, is this really true about me? So this is what creates your belief blueprint. And your belief blueprint then drives your behavior. You create habits around what your beliefs are, you create opinions, and you attract the same kind of like people who have similar beliefs. That old saying, birds of a feather flock together. If we believe something about ourselves, we usually attract other people who have similar beliefs. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that when we get through the slides, but that's really what it means that your belief becomes who you are, and that we all have this belief blueprint. The difference between people who have a belief blueprint that serves them and helps them thrive in the world versus someone who has a belief blueprint that degrades them, that does not serve them in the world, is the difference between what we think these beliefs mean about us and our value in the world. So let's talk more about that. What we're going to be talking about in this workshop is where these beliefs come from. We just talked about that a little bit. We're going to also understand how our beliefs affect our behavior, our health, and our mindset, what we think about, and the thoughts that come into our head on a daily basis. And we're going to discuss this process of Dare Your Beliefs. This is a process that I developed through coaching, through my coaching clients. It's called Dare Your Belief, which is the process is to discover what these limiting beliefs are that we are not even aware of that we have, they're subconscious, and then assessing them like, what is this actually true about me? And does it serve me? And usually the answer is no. And then recreating or reconstructing new beliefs that do serve who your authentic self is, who you really are, and not who you thought you had to be to become accepted or loved by the world. And then once you have these new beliefs, helping you expand those new beliefs to infuse them into your everyday life. Because once you develop new beliefs and discover, I should say, discover the authentic part of you, all your gifts, your talents, not the negatives. Most of us live in the negatives. But once you discover what your gifts and talents are, now you are going to be looking at the world in a completely different way. So we want to make sure that you do the world better, that you're able to utilize these new beliefs to create a better life for yourself. So, as just discussed, beliefs drive your behavior. What you believe about yourself, you can cause self-sabotaging behaviors. You can cause patterns that, if you've ever said to yourself, why do I always do that? Or why do I always have these kinds of relationships? Every relationship I have always ends up the same way. Why do I always start out having money and then somehow I lose it, or somehow money just leaves me? Why do I always start working at the same kind of job and have the same boss or the same coworkers or whatever? That there's some kind of repeated pattern that doesn't serve you that you're starting to notice. These beliefs come from your emotional moments. And emotions are, if you break down the word E and motion, is energy in motion. Our energy in motion thoughts are stored in our body, either positive or negative, as memories, but the negative ones are usually buried because they're uncomfortable and we don't want to think about them. And our brain is happy to service that by hiding them in our subconscious brain. But just because we're not consciously aware of them, doesn't mean they don't exist. They drive our behavior unbeknownst to us. And so this process of Dare Your Belief is about discovering what those subconscious limiting self-sabotaging beliefs are so you can let them go. You can look at them and say, I don't think this is true about me. This is not true about me. I'm going to create a new belief that really does reflect who I am authentically. And the process of discovering who you are authentically and all of your gifts and all of your talents is definitely a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it absolutely can happen. It absolutely will happen if you're focused and you're committed to going there. So not only do these beliefs create the world you live in, the people you attract into your life that believe similar things of you, the jobs that you attract that reflect what you believe about you, the money that you attract or don't attract that reflect what you believe about you, but they also create this energy that we're holding on to is held in our body. And if it's a negative energy, it is stuffed in different areas of the body that we're not even aware of. But this negative energy starts to change the DNA of our cells, and it can actually cause pain. It can cause disease. It can cause just a number of unhealthy symptoms in our body until we decide we've had enough and we want to find out what's going on here. So I think the first thing so I'm going to tell you a little story that I think really reflects, when I heard this story many, many years ago, I thought it really reflected how we all learn as a child to hold on to beliefs that don't serve us as adults, where they come from, because every single one of us have a red door. So the red door story is this. There's two little boys, Johnny and Billy. Billy lives in a house with a big red door. And Billy has the best toys. He has cool toys. He has a cool toy room. So Johnny always goes over to Billy's to play at Billy's house. Or Johnny always goes over to play at Billy's house because Billy has cool stuff. So every day, Johnny goes over and knocks on the door, the big red door at Billy's house. And every day, the mom opens up the big red door, and Johnny goes through the big red door and goes into Billy's playroom, and they play. One day, the mom is getting ready for a Halloween costume party, and she's trying on her Halloween costume. And she hears the knock on the door, and she forgets to take off the mask and the costume, and she opens the big red door as a scary monster. Johnny sees this, and he's just traumatized. Oh, so scared, runs away. So, of course, the mom takes off the mask and the costume. She goes running after him to let him know, no, it's not a scary monster. It's me, Billy's mom. So, he's soothed, he's satisfied, okay? But in that moment, when he was traumatized, when he felt that intense fear, the fear created a memory in his mind. And because it was fearful and scary, it got buried. And the trigger, there's always a trigger to this subconscious traumatic event. And for him, the trigger became the color red. So from that moment on, Johnny became a child who really disliked the color red. And the longer he kept holding on to, I don't like red, the deeper this hatred of red became. It became to a point where he wouldn't eat any food that was red. He wouldn't wear any clothes that were red. He didn't want to play with any toys that were red. And so this carried him through into his adult life, where he just really didn't like the color red. Never thought about it, and everybody accepted it. Johnny just doesn't like red. Nobody ever thought about it. Wasn't a big deal. Until he got to be an adult. And he's out looking for a house with his wife, and they're going to an open house, and they pull up in front of this beautiful house, and it has a giant red door. And he looks at it and he instantly feels fear. And he says, oh, I don't like this house. I don't want to go in. And the wife's like, what are you, crazy? This is exactly the neighborhood we want to be in. And it's got a great price and it looks like a lovely house. So she makes him go into the house. He's walking around the house and all he can do is find things wrong with the house. He's like, I just don't like this house. I don't like this about it. I don't like that. And he's making up stuff. He doesn't even realize he's making up stuff. But the whole point was he felt uncomfortable because it had the color and it replicated that red door. Now, had Johnny gone back and asked himself, why do I hate the color red so much? What is it? He would be able to bring up that memory, and he would be able to realize when the memory came up, what is that? Why I don't like the red? Why I don't like the color red? And because it didn't have a deep traumatic meaning to who he was and his value in the world, he was easily able to let go of it. But all of us have a red door story, have multiple red door stories that we have stored in our subconscious. Some of them are very traumatic. Some of them are from traumatic things that happened to us as children. And so those are buried a little bit deeper, and they're a little bit harder to clear or to work through, but absolutely can be. When they're buried as a ball of negative energy, once you bring them up and allow that energy to kind of like expand and get out, once you look at it and see what it is, it has no more power and you can easily release it. And that's why understanding what your red stories are that form the beliefs are so, so important for you to create a much better life for yourself with all the things that you desire in your life easily had. So this is a couple of charts here to show you how this energy manifests in your body and affects whether you have a healthy body or an unhealthy body. So this one right here is that I'm pointing to with my pointer. This reflects, if any of you have ever heard of the chakra system. This reflects the chakra system. So this red area in here is the energy that is mostly that energy wheel is held right about here, right under your navel, and it affects all of the areas from that point below it. And that is called your root chakra. And that is your survival. Your root chakra is all about the energy that keeps you surviving in this world, that you have enough water, that you have enough food, that you have enough air. If you've ever heard this saying, that person is just living in survival mode. That's where this comes from. This person lives with a lot of fear in their life, so all of their energy is focused in this area. And so they don't really experience the rest of these energies very much because they stay here trying to protect themselves in their fearful mode. The next energy wheel up is the sacral area, and that is in your gut area and, kidneys, pancreas, anything in the abdomen area. And that is beliefs that you have and energy that you store about what you believe you and your value are in the world, how you relate with the world, how you relate with the people that you work with, how you relate with the people that are your family members, how you do the world outside of your body, how you fit into the world, or in many cases feel you don't fit into the world. So if you have any health issues that are reflected in the gut area, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, well, my gut tells me. Your gut when you're holding on to positive energy in your gut area is very reflective of your sense of what is good or bad, but you don't usually have access to that good energy intuition if you're living in the fear that you're holding in your gut area. So people who have gut area ailments usually have negative energies about how they're not enough. There's fear, lots of fear there that they're not enough, that they don't have enough, they never can be enough, they're not pretty enough, they're not rich enough, they're not tall enough, they're not whatever enough. There's the lists go on and on. And so that negative energy is held in that gut area. And so, you'll have stomach issues. You get nauseous a lot. When you feel anxiety, you feel it in the gut. You feel nauseous, or you feel you have diarrhea, or you have GI issues, etc., etc. Okay, that's all held in there. Now, the next level up is your power center. That is your solar plexus area, and that is your power center. And that is when you move your energy from your survival to how you fit into the world to now. And this is very reflective of how we evolve as a child into an adult. We start off with being in our survival mode. We're depending on other people to take care of us. Then we start to learn how to fit into the world around us, make friends at daycare or school or whatever, how we fit into that. Then as we move through that, if we don't get stunted by a traumatic event or belief that keeps us focusing on fear and holding on to negative energy in our gut area or our root chakra, if we're able to evolve and mature as an adult to now that we have our survival has been taken care of, we're taken care of, we have food to eat, etc. We have a roof over our head, we have water. We move up into our sacral area. Now we believe that we have that we fit into the world, that we have friends, that we have family, that we have people that care about us. So we're being taken care of by the people and we fit into the community around us. Now we move into, now we start to feel powerful, like, okay, my survival is taken care of, my community, how I fit into the world is taken care of. So I'm feeling a little bit power. And this is where you develop more of a self-belief, more of a powerful belief about who you are, your gifts, your talents, etc. And then when you start really focusing on that, although people who don't get to spend as much of their energy in the power zone will just keep staying from that point on. They'll be spending most of their focus will be in this. But if you're healthy and evolving, you'll be moving through, I feel powerful, to now up here in the green zone, this is your heart chakra. And now you're powerful and you recognize that you're loved. Like you recognize as a child that now you have evolved from, I'm feeling good about who I am and my gifts and so forth in the world. Now I recognize that I am loved. I feel love for me because I have gifts, I have talents, I feel love for me, I feel satiated, I feel comfortable with who I am, and I feel love, and I know what love is, and I recognize it, and I embrace it. And then as you evolve, you start to move up to, now I can communicate how I feel. I can communicate that I feel loved, that I feel powerful. I can spend more time communicating with the world of people around me now that I feel safe, I feel powerful, I feel loved, so I can express this. And that is your throat chakra. So you communicate all of these things well. Then you get up into your third eye chakra, and this is developing more where you're able to see out of just the little circle that you live in, that you're able to actually expand your view of the world and see not just how you fit into your little community or your family, but how you can fit into the world as a whole and either impact the world or the world impact you. So you're able to see the big picture. People who have developed a good third eye energy are people who can really, they're the big thinkers. They're the ones who, they can see things from, all corners of the room, all corners of the problem. Whereas most people who have an undeveloped third eye, they kind of just see what's going on in their own little world and think that that's the only way I can apply things to outside of me is what I see in here. Whereas people with a very active and healthy third eye are able to see the big picture. They're big problem solvers. And then your crown chakra, now that as we grow into adulthood, your crown chakra is now I'm in touch with the spiritual part of me. Whoever I feel more connected to my higher power, God, whoever that is for your higher power is, that you start to feel that connection with the energy of whoever our higher power is. And now you've got a balanced amount of emotional energy throughout your body. Now, most people I know who live as humans in this world, their growth, their energy growth usually stops right here at the gut. So most of us live there. And so because the other energy centers are not really turned on and working, then all of our energy is in here. And that's why we develop health problems there. So the other thing that I want to point out here and compare is this is called the map of consciousness. This was developed by a man named David Hawkins, not Hawking, but David Hawkins. He was a psychologist, brilliant psychologist, and he studied for years and years and years. He studied people's energy through kinesiology, and he studied how people vibrate. Okay, so if you take each one of these zones, and let's say we start down here in the red zone, this is a very negative zone. This is where you're living. If you can see the red matches the red. These are all of the emotions that we live in, we keep ourselves in, and they vibrate very low. So it's difficult for us to evolve as a human because we're staying in this negative zone. So if you look here at the scale, the numbers that he put to, so someone who is in a level of shame, they're evolving at a 20 vibration. Humiliation, blame is at 30. Guilt, people who feel guilty all the time, they're vibrating very, very low. And when they hold on to that guilt and that shame, all of their energy is held in here. There's no energy to balance the rest of it. So all of that negative energy so impacts our body and changes the DNA and creates disease. But once we start clearing out these negative beliefs that we're holding on to and move up, you can see that we moving from the red zone into the orange zone, there's still some negativity. Now we have fear and anxiety, and we get frightened, but we're not dangerous to ourselves. We're a little bit dangerous, but not quite as bad as we were in the red zone. And then when you move up to the yellow zone, this is where he differentiates between a negative zone and a positive zone. So once you hit this zone here, which he says is at about vibrating at about a 200, that's where you're in the positive energy zone. And that's where you start moving into health. So even if you're at 175, you're kind of right on the edge, but it's easy to move up over that edge. As you can see, someone who is indifferent, demanding, prideful, have a lot of scorn, they are right at the edge. If they just kind of look at their beliefs just a little bit and see what's working, what's not working, they can easily move over that line into, gee, now from being indifferent, I'm permitting, I'm opening up a little bit. Things are feasible. They have more courage. They can affirm who they are and they feel a little bit more empowered, which is right here. And so they're lighting up that zone in their body. And then you move up the scale. The green zone is willingness, is hopeful, is inspiring, is those optimistic people that we all love to be around. And then when you move up into the blue zone, this is when you make your life really meaningful. You are you're very, very wise. You're very, very loving. You embrace love. And then at the top of the scale, very few of us will ever get there at on this human earth, because if you read his book, he will tell you that the only person who he feels has ever vibrated at the highest level at 1,000 was Jesus Christ when he walked this earth. So people who are very, very enlightened are people who are just, you just want to be around them. But there's very few of them. Like Buddha was that. The Dalai Lama is an enlightened soul. Nothing bothers him. He accepts everything. There's no negativity within him or around him. That's very, very difficult and very unusual. Most of us fall somewhere between orange and a little bit of yellow and green, okay? But the more we can move up, the healthier we will be, the happier we will be, because again, whatever energy zone you live in, you attract the same to you. So if you are more inspiring, hopeful, and optimistic, then you attract more people in your life who are the same. And so you can see how your life just gets better and better as you move up the vibration scale. So these beliefs that we're holding on to that create energy in our body, they become our mindset and how we do the world, and they affect our health. And of course, they affect our behavior. So my story is how I got here is in 2002, I was diagnosed with kidney cancer, and it came from out of the blue. I had no symptoms. I was at my annual gynecological exam, and my physician was just feeling around my abdomen for the edge of my uterus. And when he came over to the right side of my abdomen where my hip was, the tumor on my right kidney was so large that he could actually feel it over by my hip. So he immediately sent me for an MRI. And when I came in 2 days later for the results, when he told me I had a mass on my kidney, I almost fell off the chair. I couldn't believe it. So I thought, I can't die because I had 2 young children at the time. So I thought, I have to know everything I can about this. So I had the surgery. They removed the kidney. And while I was home waiting for the biopsy results to see if any of the surrounding tissue from the kidney, if they had found any cancer cells or in the lymph nodes nearby the kidney, someone gave me a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And that book blew my mind. I could not believe when I read the book that we can actually add to creating disease in our body by the emotion that we hold on to based on our belief about ourselves. And when I looked up in the index where kidney was, like what kind of energy do you hold in the kidney? I found anger, I found shame, and I knew that that was true. I knew it as soon as I read it because I had grown up in a dysfunctional alcoholic home. And so there was a lot of anger. And because we were told, you do not tell people what happened, what goes on inside this house, then there was shame. And there was lots of verbal negativity going on in that home. And I absorbed it all, and I believed that this was all bad about me. And I knew immediately that this was true. And so I was like, oh my God, if I could actually I could contribute to creating a disease in my body based on what I believed about myself that was so awful. What could I do if I learned how to love myself? At this point, I would have taken, what could I do if I could just like myself? But if I could learn how to love myself, like, what would that be like? Like, could I create miracles in my life? So I had to know everything about this. So I started studying every mind body wellness book. And I started applying everything that I was learning. And I was listening. I would walk every day and listen to audio of, people like Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer. They all walked with me every day and helped me understand how to heal these wounds that I had held onto that had created this negative energy and belief in my body. So after about a dozen years or so, 12, 13, 14, 15 years, I started to realize how different my life was and how I had completely changed who I was, that my beliefs had changed, that I had healed so many of these wounds. And I thought, my God, my life is so much better. I'm not even the same person I was 15 years ago. I'm a completely different person. I have to write this down. I have to write this down and document it so I can share with other people. So that's what started me writing my book, Daydreams Come True. And it's really not about my story as much as it's about the process that I went through, the questions I had to ask myself to find these self-sabotaging, limiting, buried subconscious beliefs. The questions I had to ask my brain to get the answers to why do I feel this way about myself. So the information would come up and I could look at it straight in the face and say, wow, I remember when that happened now. That's not true about me. And I could release it. So I wrote this process down. It's a 6-chapter book, and I now do workshops with the 6-chapter book. It's a 6-week workshop. We do 1 chapter per week, and we go through the questions. And the person that is going through the workshop, they will have to answer the questions, and then we will review when we meet together. That's their homework to do that. Then we will review the answers and see what limiting beliefs came up and where they came from. And my job as a coach is just to hold their hand and help them release it, and then come up with new beliefs that serve them better, that serve who they authentically are, their authentic self with all their gifts and talents. So what we usually do in this part of the webinar is to see what your beliefs are. So you can do kind of a self-check on your beliefs. So for those of you who have the handouts, you can look at them and answer the questions as we go. But for those of you who don't have the handouts, I've got them on the slide, so we're just going to run through that. So let's check on your beliefs. So we know that whatever you believe you deserve is what you're going to get. That's what your world is going to be like. So I want everyone to just close their eyes for a minute and envision your life. What do you see? Are you happy with your life? Do you have everything that you want in your life? So just write down the answer to that question. Yes or no. Now, do you think that these beliefs about who you are and what you deserve in your career, the job that you want and deserve, the money that you make, the relationships that you have, pretty much everything in your life. Does everything serve you? Are you happy with all these areas of your life? Now, some of you may say, I'm happy in this area, but I'm not happy in that area. So some people, the negativity, the negative beliefs reflect in all areas of their life. And in others, they only reflect in specific areas of their life, which usually has something to do with where the belief came from. And, we would have to, kind of pick that apart and see where it comes from. But so for instance, you may have a job that you really like, but you're just not making enough money. You get great satisfaction in what you're doing, but you think, I deserve to make more money because I like what I do, but I'd like to do it so I can make more money. So that would be, yes, my belief in my career and what I do to earn my income, that serves me. But the money part doesn't at all. Or relationships. I keep having the same difficult, challenging relationships all the time. If you're a woman, I keep attracting the same kind of guy all the time. Why do I keep doing that? If you're a guy, I keep attracting the same women into my life over and over again. Why is that happening? Okay. Pretty much everything in your life. You can, sort them out by categories. Yes. Or, there's some people in the world who make a lot of money, but they're extremely unhappy. They are not satisfied with how they're making their money. They're just working. They're working to make money, and that's all they do. So in that sense, the money is serving them, but what they do to get the money is absolutely not. It's like so stressful, so anxiety ridden. It's not working at all. And or sometimes that shows up in the relationships too. It's different for everyone, but just answer those questions. Answer if your beliefs serve you in one or any of these, and or none of them. Okay. So now, here's the $1 million question. Why don't you think you have what you want in your life? Why aren't you making enough money? Or why don't you have the career that you want? Or why don't you have the relationship that you want? You have the answers within your mind, but you may be getting an I don't know at this moment in time, which is so normal. Very few people will be able to bring up the answer instantly because we've buried them in our head. So what do we do about that? So we're going to recognize, in order to change what beliefs we have to look at what is the problem. So of course we start with, okay, so the problem is I'm not making enough money, or the problem is I hate my job. I'm making really good money, but I just hate my job. Whatever that is, I'm in a relationship and it's the same relationship I keep attracting over and over again, and I'm just not happy. Okay, so there's the problem. So now you have to look deeper at why. Why is that a problem? Is there a belief that I have underneath this that keeps me in this place? And hopefully you'll have some kind of realization. Once you realize what's going on here, now you can take responsibility. And that's very important to take responsibility, because that's where all of your power lies. When you realize that what's going on in your life that you have attracted, that you have created through no fault of your own, it's not a blame thing. It's I get that I believed X, and I get that I need to take responsibility. I can't blame this on the guys that I go out with. I can't blame this on somebody offered me this job. So because they offered to me, I took it. I can't blame it on my parents were bad to me. I can't blame it on my brother used to, tease me. Whatever that is, you can't blame it on any other instance, circumstance, or person outside of you. Because if you do, you become a victim. And none of us are victims if we don't want to be. Once we take responsibility, that we see what we attracted into our life based on an unconscious, subconscious belief through no fault of our own, but we are responsible, we can now change it. And that is powerful. Now we can change how we respond to the same event that comes around over and over and over again. Those are the 4 R's of change. So how do we walk through starting to change this belief? The first thing we have to do is create a destination. What is my destination? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want to be making in money? What do I want to do as a career? What is my relationship? What kind of relationship do I want to have? Break it down. Start with one and then break it down into all the categories. There's usually one that's the worst, that's giving you the most pain and discomfort. Start there, and then you can break it down in the other areas. But what is the vision? What does that look like? So close your eyes and really think about, if I had a magic wand for myself and I could change my life, what would my life look like? I would get up every morning and do X. I would go to bed every day feeling X. I would enjoy my day every day because I would be doing X. What does that look like? After you have created that vision for yourself, and write it out and be very detailed about it. After you have created that vision for your life, now, what is preventing you from getting there? What is preventing that from actually becoming your reality? What must you be believing that does not serve you or prevent you from going to that destination? So that's where you have to work on asking your brain to bring up those files. So if the red door is very deep and there's some trauma, it will be more difficult to bring it up. But the harder you try, the more resistance there's going to be. Your brain is not going to cooperate. The only way to get the answers is to relax. When your brain is in, I gotta know, it's another fear state and your brain shuts down. So the only way to get the information you want is to relax your brain and allow the information to come up. Once your brain feels safe and you're not in a fear place, the information will come up. So there's lots of different ways to doing that. When I started working on this, I found I would ask, and you need to ask yourself out loud. You need to say it out loud so your brain can hear it. It's not just in your head. Put it out in the world, put the words out because they have an energy to it, and your brain will hear that and, again, feel safe. What do I need to know about why I don't have this? I used to say, help me see what I need to see and know what I need to know. And if the answer didn't come up when I asked that question to myself, I would just surrender it and say, okay, brain, I'm ready for the answer whenever the answer comes. And most of the time it would come at the most random places, like while I'm taking a shower, which of course you're very relaxed. You're not thinking of anything. You're taking a shower, you're relaxed. There's warm water rolling over your body. or just like maybe taking a walk in the woods where it's very peaceful and calm and your brain is peaceful and calm. For me, I also started learning how to meditate because meditation is really all meditation is, if you are not doing meditation, is learning. The first thing that you do is you start deep breathing, and that has a physiological response. It instantly brings your body out of the fight or flight and the resistance and the anxiety energy and brings calm into your body. If you do it for at least 10 times and do it slowly, you will feel the difference in your body. And once you start doing the breathing, then you can just focus. I have people do meditations with what I call, what I'm sure many of you have heard this before, it's square breathing. So you breathe in to a count of 4, you hold it to a count of 4, then you exhale to a count of 4 and hold it to a count of 4. And if you keep focusing on the counting, then your brain is engaged and it won't wander. But you will have moments when you'll wander. So if you start off saying, I'm going to just meditate for a minute today and keep my mind focused on those numbers for just a minute, and then every day you do it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, your brain will start to adapt and it will become easier for you to just relax your brain and focus on what you want it to, the numbers that you're counting on, etc. And there's tons of guided meditation out there on the internet, and many that you can buy. There's many apps out there that have guided meditation. There's my favorite meditations. I don't do guided ones anymore. I did in the beginning to help me, but now that I don't need to be guided, that I've trained my brain to just focus on what I want. I just listen to music that has a vibration to it that matches where I want to go. So if I want to feel more loving about myself, I listen to, there's a set of audios out there called Solfeggio, Solfeggio, sound waves. And you can listen to a number of different sounds, music. It's all set to music that is vibrating at a very specific vibration, just like what I showed you in that chart. So it helps your brain go to that place, which is instantly calming. So it's lots and lots of different ways to, you can go get a massage, and you know how yummy and lovely you feel after a massage. That's a good time to just relax and allow, like, what information, what should I know about it? That's a perfect time to bring up the information whenever you relax, whenever your brain is calm and relaxed. Now, once you discover what the belief is, now you have to, once you discover it, you don't need to hold on to it anymore. It's like it's out of the closet. It's been revealed. So now it's easier to let go. Now you have to create a new belief to support what you do want to have or be in your life. So now it becomes, what belief do I need to cultivate to support the vision that you started? So I started up here with, this is my vision. This is what I believe that keeps me from there, and I'm letting go of it. And now what new belief to support this vision do I need to create? So you create the vision first, then you clear it away by exposing this negative belief that doesn't serve you, and then create a new belief that really does serve who you want to be, and what you want to have in your life. So at this point, we usually do a sharing. I've been told that no one is going to be sharing this, but if anyone wants to share a new belief with me, you can absolutely, at the end of the slide, you will see my web address and my email address, and I would love to hear from you, especially if you're struggling to create a new belief. I have ongoing workshops, group workshops that you can join in on, or we can just do our 6-week workshop with you one-on-one, and we can get to the bottom of this and create everything all new for you and so much better. So before we end this, I just want to, I hope that you have learned how to recognize, how to dare your beliefs, discover what your limiting beliefs are, assess them. Do they serve you? Usually no. Where did they come from? Do I need to still hold on to them? No. Reconstruct and recreate a new belief that does serve you, and then learn to expand on those new beliefs and learn how to integrate them into your everyday life so you don't go backwards, that you go forward with your new belief. I always like to leave my webinars with this wonderful example of how I think we all live our lives and how we can completely change and make our lives so much better. It's a metaphoric story, and I think it really reflects everything that we've been talking about today. There's a Hole in My Sidewalk. It's an autobiography in 5 short chapters by Portia Nelson. Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk and I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. And it isn't my fault. I just fell in. And it takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the same street and there's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend this time I don't see it, but I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. I just fell in. And it still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk and I see it, and somehow I still fall in. This is a habit, but now I understand that it is a habit and I know where I am because I've been here before. And now I realize I'm responsible. So this is my fault. And so now, because I understand that I'm responsible and that I'm in my own power by taking responsibility, I can get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. This time I walk around it. Chapter 5, epilogue, I walk down another street. I wish you all well as you walk much better and walk well on your new street. Please feel free to contact me at my email, phites@patriciaheights.com. Go to my website, patriciaheights.com. Register to be on our mailing list so that when we do have workshops, or I am writing many more ebooks this year in 2024 that are very useful to keep you in a positive place, so that you can know when new things are coming out and keep track of what we're doing with our workshops and webinars, etc. I would love to keep you in our family of people who are working on creating a more thriving life. So thank you so much for attending my webinar, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.